It's it's become one of the capitals of Africa in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's what, like, when we ran the ad and just seeing the response that we got from people is just really seeing how much of an opportunity, and that's why I can't wait for this webinar for us to really get into the specifics, and we'll have people comment exactly where they're from. Can you talk to most of the most of the people that you speak to? Who are they? Are they mainly diaspora Kenyans? Are they Americans, foreigners? Like, who are most of the people that are taking an interest into the real estate? Like for example, my mum, who's a diaspora.
So of course there is the local Kenyans, which probably form about 30% or 40% of the market. Then the 60% is split between diaspora and foreigners. Um, there's lots of diaspora with interest in investing back home in Nairobi, Nairobi specifically, but Kenya as a whole. And they always they require like a sort of trusted partner in this process, because I know sometimes there's stories of things which have gone wrong or money which has gone missing. So there is quite a few diaspora, and then post COVID there has been a very big increase in the number of foreigners who have no links to Kenya or have been to Kenya once or twice before, who have now invested in here. And we're talking about Americans, especially post Donald Trump coming in. Lots of them want to shift to the southern hemisphere. We've got a lot of Europeans, so quite a few people from France, from the UK, from Italy, from even as far as Eastern Europe as well. We've got a couple of Polish nationals. So not only that, we've also seen an increase in the number of Australians as well. So diaspora, Kenyan diaspora in Australia, along with Australians themselves. But believe it or not, we've even had, like last year, we had three Colombians who actually invested in Nairobi. So it's the reach is going quite far and wide.
And why do you think that is?
So, the world is becoming more globalized now. And in the Western nations, I think taxation is hitting a very high note, as per se. Also, people want to have a slice of Africa because it's something which people really haven't explored that much. And when it comes to some people cannot even believe that Africa is can be as developed as some of the Western nations. So now when they look at Africa, they only have a few places they can actually they can visit anywhere in Africa, okay, but they only have a few places where they can put their money in with very minimal risk. If you talk about like Somalia or South Sudan or DRC, those are countries which are at war or which are very not stable, so they can't put their money in there. So there are only a few countries like Kenya, Ghana, Morocco, South Africa, where people can put their money in as a first investment. So what we've seen is globally, lots of people want to visit Africa, want to come to Africa, and then when they see the potential, they want to invest in Africa. But then they can only take the steps, initial steps, in a couple of countries, and Kenya is lucky to be one of them because it's quite safe. It's quite the economy is quite booming right now, and there's not much of political interference into day-to-day activities.
Okay, let's get into it. Like I think that was just to kind of get the feel of, a little bit of what this is going to be about. So, thank you guys for joining, and feel free to add in the comments where you're joining from. He's asked, is this a podcast or is it a webinar? Don't worry, no, it's actually a webinar that we're going to be getting into. So first, we're going to give you guys a disclaimer. None of this is financial advice, of course. We're just here sharing our experiences, and we have a real estate professional like Prit. So you guys are going to learn, guys, exactly what it takes everything. I'll even a short little story on how we got here. My name is Sujira Rubasha. I'm the CEO of ETS Rubasha Media, and I started an Airbnb business in Nairobi. My mum bought a place, and it changed my life. And so many people have asked, "Wow, either you're diaspora or you're a foreign investor." So feel free, whether we have people from YouTube here in this Zoom, to let us know where you're from, whether you're a foreigner or you're a diaspora. So, one of the big things that we talk about is what is your plan B? And just quickly before that, I do want to introduce Prit, because I guess that authority is quite powerful. I actually found Prit, guys, through YouTube, and he was actually on a viral video on the Wandering Investor. And where is he? That is he was a Polish guy. He's from Poland or
He's a Swiss guy
Swiss guy.
from
So
Switzerland.
A
Yeah.
Switzerland guy was investing in Kenya, and he was the tallest building in East Africa. So Prit here, real estate has always been his passion. He's been in the industry ever since he started working high-end areas in Nairobi. He's closed over 2,000 deals. And he understands real estate investment. So that's why it's just to have someone in Kenya that you guys can also hear from. So thanks for joining us, Prit.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me as well.
No worries. So the start of this, how we want to do this is print. We've got slides, and I want to show all the people here again online in this Zoom what exactly does it take. Can we make this practical for people, right? People come to webinars, they want to come in and learn something, right? So let's give them the game. So we got one promise, we can't hold back, okay?
Yeah, definitely,
No
definitely.
holding back. So why do people invest? What's your plan B? If you lose your job tomorrow, what happens? What if you're from Kenya, a diaspora? What are you building actually back home? So on two sides of the coin. So I'll actually give it a practical example. Guys, this is my mum. And so my mum in 2020, she purchased an off-plan unit in Kilimani, an area Prit was talking about, for 53,000 USD. That's what she purchased it for. We'll go through a little bit. So the official valuation just 3 years ago, it's 66,000 USD. And Prit, feel free. You're going to be coming in, and we're going to be looking at these numbers. Capital growth, $13,000, 25 percent appreciation in 3 years. Prit, what are your thoughts just quickly on this so far?
So the numbers are speaking what's really happening on the ground. You're probably looking at a 7.5% annual capital appreciation. It's probably even grown further since 2023 because the market has really been boosted by a lot of investment. 2024, 2025, and even 2026 has even started in a bigger fashion. So in terms of the 25% appreciation, I believe that's a fair value. And even from the last property that I bought in Nairobi myself, I bought it in about 2020 during COVID, off plan. I bought it at a similar range, 54,000 USD. Um, I managed to sell it when it was ready in 2020. It was ready 2023. I sold it in 2024. I managed to get about $78,000 for it. So I'm not saying that it can happen to every deal, but that appreciation was about 40%. I think I was lucky because I was probably one of the first buyers in that project. So I got in really, really low. And what we've seen happen to your mom's apartment is pretty much what we're seeing happening to other apartments in Nairobi. And also, lots of people do this. They speculate in the market because of this capital appreciation. So they buy at the beginning and then they sell upon completion when they've got a good value or two towards the property.
Wow, see, I never even thought of that. So for what you'll see with my mum, like, so even some can even do a kind of a quick flip, like you would say, where you get it, she got it off plan. And my mum, and think about it, guys, think about what we're just saying, 53,000 USD in downtown Nairobi. That's like Sydney. Think about it, Sydney here in Australia 20, 30 years ago, or London or New York 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you could buy a place 50,000. Imagine now. So, like for my mum, she earns good wages here in Australia, but here in Australia, that place that she bought it, you're buying it minimum 500K, 600K higher down. So she had 20K saved up, and that was her down deposit. So we'll go into that. And guys, By the way, we'll break it up because I do Airbnb and I don't even own a property. So my mum, we went through this process, her owning. I don't even own a property in Nairobi. I'm here in Australia. I put mine on Airbnb and I get income from that. So that's a whole nother conversation. So let's keep going. So the rental, so she has her place on Airbnb, guys. So think about it. Again, we'll go into the financing stuff. So think about what I just said. She bought it 53,000 when it was off plan, which means it was in development. Boom, 53,000 a few years later. She spent a lot of money on furnishing. My mum from Australia, she wants class, she wants elegance. That's why you can see she gets good reviews. Um, so she's put a decent amount into her furnishing the place, as you can see there. So the rental potential, and I'll get your comments on this. Put 1,000 USD. So I asked my mom. I said, "Hey, mom, if you were, because she's doing it on Airbnb. I said, Mom, if you were to rent this place out full time, how much would you rent it out for?" She was like, "Well, look, two-bedroom apartment. I furnish it with so much. I'll put it at." She said 150,000 Kenya shillings. I translated, or she said 160K Kenya shillings. I translated that to about 1,000 USD a month, which is about $12,000 a year. 53,000 off plan. A few years later now, she could rent it for basically get $12,000 per year in rental income. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, what it means is she's made her money back on the original investment. As it stands, I think the 53 plus maybe another 6 or 7K in terms of the furniture and interior design, total of 60K and 12,000 per year. 6 years, 7 years, you get your return on investment back, and the 150,000 Kenyan shillings, which is like what you're saying about 1,000 USD. It's a very reasonable rate. It's the rates that we're seeing right now in the market, especially for a fully furnished two-bedroom in Kilimani, which is the second most downtown area in Nairobi. I find it hard to see how this apartment would be empty. It's a very fair rate, and the occupancy for this area would be quite high as well.
Yeah. And it's so that's 1,000 USD a month in Australian dollars. That's 1,500 in a very, very good area. There's no way here again in Sydney where I live that you will be able to find a place with that rent. We pay here at least like $900 a week. So you know what I mean? But imagine that 1,000 USD in a beautiful place. But for mum, that's great cash flow. So like you can see the numbers. So what these numbers mean, and there is a caveat to this. We do have a slight issue that we'll talk about in the next slide. What the numbers mean: rental yield based on 10 million valuation in 2023, 12,800, which is the rental year, divided by 53,000. It says a 24% yield on cost, right? But caveat, mom got a mortgage. And as I said, you guys will let us know in the comment what you prefer, whether you do Airbnb or to do something like this, like that. So she got a mortgage and interest rates are quite high because for mom, she was like, okay, cool. It's $53,000. I don't have that type of cash. But you know what? She had 20,000 Australian dollars, which is about 2.3 million Kenya shillings, or something like that. She had 20,000 Australian dollars. She said, cool, I'll put it down deposit. She got a mortgage and you get 14% interest rates. I prefer to own it outright, but what are your thoughts on that? But let's say if she does rent it out, the rent that will come in will cover the mortgage. So basically, she's not paying a mortgage, and or even if she is paying, she's paying maybe $200-300 out of pocket. What are your thoughts on that, Prit?
Yeah, it's a very sustainable model. As long as you get the occupancy correct. So Airbnb is a very fragile. Let me put it this way: fragile game where one bad review can sink you. So you really have to be on spot. And from seeing the listing, I think being one of the top like reviews on this listing, it looks good. Getting the mortgage as well, it is expensive in Nairobi. 14% is not easy, although generally about 8 to 9 years ago, the rate was 21%. So it's
Wow.
coming down every single year. The government is really doing a lot to help home ownership, because with mortgages, it means more and more locals can also afford properties. So the rates will come down year on year. With this model which your mom is using, um, the interesting thing is that she can still sell this apartment with the mortgage as well. Having already covered majority of the initial purchase price using the rental income she has earned, it would be very easy for her to sell this property and make money out of it. In terms of the tenant covering the mortgage, this is what we've seen with a lot of people as well. The tenants do, if you earn a good rental income, if you price it fairly and you work on your occupation, then you're as a an owner, your tenant will be covering your mortgage payments quite easily. Yeah.
And I think like you said something earlier with Airbnb. So for those of you guys who are interested in Airbnb, you're exactly right. This month, even in my Airbnb, was probably the first month where it's been incredibly slow, where I had to pay rent out of my pocket. In my mum's case, her Airbnb, because she's in Kilimani, that area actually, they're building so many apartments. So there's quite many apartments. So even her bookings are going down. So I've had to look and say, okay, mum, should we, yes, Airbnb is good. Should we maybe get a full-time tenant? For my mum, though, her wages in Australia, she doesn't mind paying the mortgage. She already knows, look, this is a place I own. That's a $1,500 a month for me, AUD. That's nothing. I can pay it. Anything else that comes in through Airbnb for her is just extra cash flow. When she goes to travel, when she goes to Kenya, the Airbnb bookings, the income that come through on that, that's what she uses. And I'll give you a little more example. Here in Australia, I have an Airbnb in where we live because we got a big place and we pay rent. I looked at our Airbnb statement. We made $18,000 in a year, in a whole year. Why? Because the Airbnb we get booked out all throughout the year because it's in a beautiful location. So if Airbnb works really well, then, instead of that $12,000 a year in rental income, that could now turn into $18,000 a year if your place is booked out. So what are your thoughts on that as well? So it's like you said, it can be stable, but if you hit Airbnb in a good location, then there's that up.
Yeah, so with Airbnb, there's a couple of things people need to take into consideration, right? There are many hosts everywhere. Um, Ideally, you need to be looking at a super host to come and manage the property for you, at least in the first 2 or 3 years. This way, when you're talking about the 18,000 per year, you are able to achieve that quite easily. Now, when we look at property management, um, especially Airbnb, whoever is managing the Airbnb for you, or even if you're doing it yourself, you really need to be focused on this business. It takes a lot of time. You can't really be doing much else, and you need to get a lot of systems in place. So, this is why I recommend maybe initially going with the superhost, building the property reputation, building the reviews, ensuring that you get a very high occupancy so that in your initial years, you can, if you're taking a mortgage, for example, you don't really have any issues in terms of covering it. And in terms of, I mean, when you look at Airbnb, Nairobi is now probably the Airbnb capital of
Yeah.
Africa, along with maybe Cape Town. So there is a lot of competition. I don't want to say the market is saturated because we're not at that point. Nairobi is a huge transit point. Um, Kenya Airways flies to about 40 out of the 54 African countries.
Wow.
No other carrier in Africa flies to these many destinations. So if you're flying from Africa to the rest of the world, you're going to be coming to Kenya. Um, if you look at the East African society as a whole, we have DRC, South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia. They're all at war with each other or with other people. We've got Eritrea, Burundi, Djibouti, which are some of the poorest countries in the world. You've got places like Uganda, which has had a president for about 50 years now. You've got, look at Tanzania, where the recent election, with the president won 99%. Um, only there is no real healthcare or education or social amenities in these countries like there is in Kenya. So a lot of these residents as well, they always come to Kenya, whether it's for holiday, whether it's for education, for healthcare. So this also drives the Airbnb market just from this region alone. Um, the only country which can probably match Kenya is Rwanda, which is probably the most developed country in Africa. Although it does have its challenges, it's landlocked. It's also got a very tiny population. So it does have a few challenges when it comes to investment, or at least getting your returns. Um, so this is why Kenya has become a real destination, not only for East Africans, for Africans, but also for foreigners. Um, there is also a major fact with Nairobi where the UN headquarters for Africa at the moment, but at the end of the year for the world, will be located in Nairobi. Um, every major corporate you can think of, Oracle has a 20-story building just for its staff to work in. The World Bank has a 30-story building. You've got the European Union with offices here. You've got Microsoft. You've got Coca-Cola. You've got Nestle. I mean, any corporate you can think of is opened in Nairobi. Um, so even business wise, it's a major potential, and all of this feeds into the Airbnb market. So it's definitely a play you can look forward to making money at least for the next 10 years.
Yeah. And I don't even want that to go over people's head what you just said there. That's so it's the hub, the travel. I know myself because I'm here in Australia. Do you know how much money I've spent on Airbnb in Nairobi? Going back every time I go to Kenya. So I know it myself. I spend money on Airbnb. I'm like, wow. Can you imagine? And even without Airbnb, people in when people come from America, travel like Dubai, it's that location and it's true. What stops people that you said earlier? What stops people is who can I trust? It depends where you are. If you're a foreigner, and you just like, I don't really have many ties there, so I don't really know much about it. You know, who do you go to there? Whether you're from like someone like me, our family, like mum. I asked my mum, hey mum, why hadn't you invested earlier? And she was like, Sujira, I just didn't know who to trust. Your family member says, oh, there's a property here, there's a plan, and it's made up. There's scams that happen. So like the reason why people don't do this is because there's no one really to trust. So I'll give you a quick introduction on me. I was born in Kenya. I moved to Australia when I was 3 years old. I've been a football player. Went into YouTube and I started an African campaign, talking to Africans on taking our names and the power of those names. So my journey in Kenya is I fell in love and I got engaged with my partner here. And then we started our Airbnb business. And the reason we started our Airbnb business is because when you're in long distance, what do? You go and stay in Airbnbs, right? And so every time we'd stay at an Airbnb, we would always look and notice things and say, what do they do well? What does this place do? Like the cleaning, the customer service, every little thing. We didn't just go and stay, but we always envisioned like if this was our Airbnb, how would we want our customers to feel, right? And it's a business. So we saw the opportunity. We saw a place in Lavington. I'll just show you guys quickly. And again, guys, like I said, I don't own this property. We found it 500 USD, which is $70,000 in rent, 70,000 Kenya shillings, $500 a month. And then what we said, okay, cool. We went in and furnished it. I sent money to my fiance, boom, go and because what Prit said is you need someone on ground. So we went in, spent good quality money on furnishing the place, put it at 60 to $70 a night. And I paid bond rent. After that, guys, I didn't even pay rent. The bookings that we had 2 weeks covered my rent. So I was like, wow. And I hadn't paid rent. The only last month was the first time I paid rent. Prit, what are your thoughts on this on in terms of not even owning a property, Airbnb arbitrage? And I had a conversation with you yesterday. I said, hey, Prit, I'm also thinking about, look, you know what? If you can maybe help me find a tenant, instead of me doing Airbnb where it could be up and down, If you get me a tenant, let's say I pay these guys, I pay our landlord $500 a month, so which is about $800 AUD a month. If we charge now $1,600 a month for the rent, then we take the difference. Cash in hand, landlord gets paid, we're good, and I don't even own the property. So I wanted to get even just your thoughts on the Airbnb arbitrage, something I can speak from personally. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a model which works very well. You take a space which is unfurnished, which comes at a very low rent, like you've
Yeah.
put there, $500 per month. I actually know this building quite well. I've sold quite a few apartments in this building, and we have also rented out for one of our American clients. He did a similar standard of furnishing as well, but we did a
Mhm.
long-term rent for him.
Mhm.
Um, when it comes to the Airbnb arbitrage, there is high margins you can make. Um, as you mentioned as well, like you need somebody on ground to make sure everything's on point. Um, Not only within your apartment, but also within the common areas as well, to make sure that whoever comes in gets a fabulous feeling as well of the property. Um, the margins, I can assume that if you're doing, let's say about, even if you're doing $50 per night,
Mhm.
um, and you do it times about, even if you take about 50% occupancy, so that's 50 by 14, you're
So that's like
making about $700 a month, um, which is more than covering your rent. And it's only 50% occupancy, which is, to be fair, not difficult to achieve.
yeah, 2 weeks.
Um, Yeah, and if you go even higher, you can make even more from this. Um, so it's a fantastic model. You just need to make sure that you identify a good property, which I've seen that you've done. You need to furnish it well. You can't just go and furnish it like a normal kind of thing, or a basic one, because don't forget, I mentioned the competition. There's a lot of competition, so you need to be a bit unique.
Mhm.
um, and then also choose a property with great amenities.
Mhm.
If you can do that, uh, then you'd be able to make the 2 weeks 50% quite easily, and then make back your rent. So it's a fantastic model to work on. Just make sure that you concentrate on it quite intensely, at least to cover up your initial rent paid.
Okay, so if I make it for practical for people who are here, right? Let's say I'm living here in Australia. I live in the UK. I live in Dubai. I'm Kenyan, what a foreigner. And I say, okay, Airbnb, can I earn $500 a month? $1,000 a month while I'm here in Australia? Because guys, remember, I run a whole business here. I don't have time for this. Do you think I have time to be doing Airbnb? I just told my woman, I said, get whatever you need, go and get this place. Just tell me when I just whatever, boom, send the money, done. I don't have time for this. But can you imagine now? And guess what? When I go to Nairobi, do you think I have to go pay for accommodation? No, I don't. So if I'm here in these countries, right, I'm a foreigner and I do this now with your company. I know you guys, for example, there's you're selling apartments, but let's say I just don't even want to do that. I don't even want to buy a place. Can I come to you and say, hey, Prit, I don't have time? So, for example, like us, we do this in terms of like managing, checking in the clients. We do this for other people, even in this same apartment who are also who are diaspora, right? Who travel. They say, you guys take care of it for me. We do that for them. But let's say, can also people come to you and say, can you just put up my place and let me get my rent, or even you take commission, whatever? Do you guys do something like that?
Yeah, we do long-term tenancies, which can come unfurnished or furnished. Um, then also the Airbnb model, where it's furnished and serviced as well. And we also do tenancies like which are 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. It can go up all the way even up to 3 years. Like right now, we have one tenant who's um, signed a lease for 3 years, paying 6 months rent in advance. Kind of no hassle for the owner, you know?
Okay, cool. So, and guys, what were the costs? Like I said, paid bond and rent. I paid about 1,500 with the bond and rent. Furnished it, spent around, let's say about 4 grand, probably maybe even a little bit more, but 5 grand. So, guys, if I was to do this, which I looked at it, if you were to do this in Australia, These prices, no, you're spending way more. You're spending up to 15 to 20 grand in Australia. That's even buying a probably a down deposit. But because the furnishing costs more here, there's just so much. Even to get permission to do an Airbnb in Australia, it's not even it's very hard. In Kenya, we could do this. We went live on Airbnb within a month. So let me ask you, based from what we just said, what would you rather, if you're an investor, would you rather do Airbnb where it can be up and down, or would you just have a full-time tenant, like you were saying, 30 days, 2 years, 3 years, that can, all right, cool, at least I'll get my, like, what are the returns we're seeing? What's something realistic for someone here that if this works well, of course, there's risks with everything. Like I said, I said to myself, Sujira, if you get no bookings, can you afford the rent? $500 a month, the money I earn in Australia, I can afford it. Like last month, I had to pay it out of pocket. Cool. I expect that, right? So I expect to get no bookings, worst case scenario. So, what would you, piece of advice for someone who wants to make this practical? Would you tell them to do Airbnb if it's a great location, or would you say get a full-time tenant and have a little bit of stability?
So we'll just go back to the numbers which your mom had posted about a 24% return. So I'm sure 24% would be a gross, and then you're probably looking at some costs which bring that down to about, let's say, 16 to 18% net return on Airbnb. Um, if you're looking at long-term rentals, you're probably looking at about a 9 to 11% net return after costs.
What do you mean by
Now,
long-term rental?
12-month plus lease.
Oh, wow.
So basically, it depends on your risk tolerance. If you are more risky, like yourself, for example, where if it doesn't turn out, I'm not going to lose sleep over this, right? I'm going to work my way around it. um, Also, you have a secondary use, that when you come down, you have a place that you can go to. Then by all means, I mean, Airbnb, your return on investment is definitely miles ahead. But if you're less risky, um, you want something where you press play, set, and forget, then you go for the long term aspect. Personally, I tend to go for the long term aspect because um, I'd rather just do that. My team here can handle all the management, the tenant issues, and all of that. And for me, I work towards now getting the next property
Another
down the
one.
line.
Yeah.
And I don't really have to worry too much about this. Um, if it's through Airbnb, there definitely will be highs, there definitely will be lows. Um, but it definitely, for Airbnb, if you do it correctly, do it systematically, follow the points I'd mentioned earlier about either getting a super host or getting a very good property, good amenities, good location, good standard of maintaining the building, then you're definitely going to get a higher return. And there is no shortage of how well you can do with an Airbnb in Nairobi.
And like I said, guys, the power of connectivity. I met Prit through YouTube, had a conversation with him, and I had a meeting with him yesterday. I said, "Hey, Prit, to be honest, I'm thinking about it. Maybe we've been doing Airbnb, it's been great, but like he said, maybe I just prefer to sit and get my, even if it's $500 a month, $400 a month, even just that as an example. Hey, by sleeping and I'm getting that's good. Again, Airbnb, it works well. Instead of 400, you can get 2 grand a month. It really just depends, like you're saying. So I think it's quite valuable information for the people here who want to do an Airbnb arbitrage. And like I said, for us, we said, okay, if it 3 months doesn't work out, we can just we give up the lease, we sell the furniture, boom. If you own it, so again, you gotta, I look at it, what do you have to lose? So just fast forwarding, why Kenya? Why now? You see Kenya GDP growth 5% annually, one of the slowest growing economies in East Africa. I'll give you guys a little story. I was in America, I was in New York, and it was T-Mobile. And I was calling them because of my SIM card. And then I was speaking to the person. They had kind of an American accent, but I was like, wait a minute, I know this. I was like, are you from Kenya? She was like, yeah. And then she said, I said, oh, I thought maybe she was in America. She said, no, I'm in Kenya. I'm like, T-Mobile already they have their staff answering. I'm in America here, their staff is in Kenya. So what that said to me, because here in Australia, you see a lot of companies outsource to Philippines, Vietnam, but you're seeing a lot of companies now, like even me, my staff, why am I going to go pay an Australian or American? You're paying them full time these wages here and they don't even do anything. When you go to Kenya and you're paying people, they do the work even better. So that's where we're seeing companies now, things they're doing that. So Africa now is becoming a huge hub, and Kenya is that. T-Mobile, multi-banks, telecoms, big companies like Prit said earlier. United Nations hosts the only UN headquarters in the global south. So there's constant demand for quality housing. Someone could come in from the UN, like my mom had inquiry. Hey, we're looking to stay 6 months, and it's the UN who pays it for them anyway. Guys, that's 6 months rent. Come in. Prit, what are your thoughts on what I'm saying? Is this true? You're the one on ground in Kenya.
It's very possible, and even for us, when we look for long-term tenants, for example, we have a very big pre-tenancy form. So in that pre-tenancy form, you need to put in your current landlord's details and your employer's details, and this is how we try and look for these corporates to come in and take it long term. And we know when we get a corporate, um, companies sometimes even put standing orders because they don't want to waste time on this paying rent every month and stuff. Some people put it even 6 months in advance, um, and then of course they put in a 2 months deposit as well. So it's something which is quite common. um, Again, you can't go into this thinking that I'm going to manage to do everything myself. You do require help when it comes to this. What I'd recommend is that you choose top agencies, because if you choose like individual brokers, or like what we call them in Nairobi, briefcase brokers, then you're going to get poor quality of tenants. So go with top agencies where they have relationships with companies. They are approached, like they do digital advertising like we do as well, and we try and find best tenants for homeowners, especially on the long term basis. So it is very possible. Um, and and like if you put your unit on the market today, uh, a very likely probability that within the next 1 month you will find a good enough tenant. So you
Yeah.
probably get about let's say about 14 or 15 viewings within that month, which is one every 2 days, and then you'd find a good enough tenant from there, from that pile of 14 or 15.
And I could vouch for that because something we did, me and my partner, we said, wait a minute, we didn't just go on Airbnb. See, we put our place on TikTok. Like when I go on a holiday, I'm with my partner, she finds places on TikTok. I'm like, oh, like she literally finds it through. So people are looking for apartments, like where do I go to live?
Yeah.
And so we ran ads on TikTok on our apartment, and then we got like people inquiring, like you said, for 6 months. And in Kenya, not like Australia, like in Australia you'd rarely find that, but in Kenya someone would pay 6 months rent up front. Some people's like, look, I'm coming for guys. So we charge 1,500, 6 months, 15 times six. Do the maths, cash in the house, pay the landlord, or if you own the property, that's just cash flow, guys, coming in, and those are just the possibilities.
Yeah, and on top of that, like let's say you earn the rent, right?
Mm.
The And you want to put it in a fixed deposit, for example, or even the deposit. Let's say the deposit you earn, you want to put it in a fixed deposit. You get 6 to 7% interest here. So there's lots of ways you can make that money, and this is what we show our investors, that you're not just buying a property. You're also There's other ways where your money can be used to generate even more money for you as well.
Yes, that's what people want to hear. That's what people hear. I have a saying, follow the Chinese. So we do in our CEOs, we work with a lot of Chinese. They've been building in Kenya and Prit, you would know more than me. I found Prit guys on YouTube. Again, this guy you guys are seeing on this Zoom, I don't think you guys are realizing, but yes, he was in a YouTube video, got over 300,000 views. So I know he's being very humble, but so I found him through there, Chinese developers. So guys, even in Australia, Prit, do you know here in Australia, Chinese they've been buying properties here from since 20 years ago. So you see all the big skyscrapers, who owns them? It's the Chinese. So they did it here in Australia. In Kenya, that is what they're doing. That is what they are doing. What are your thoughts on that?
So definitely, about 80% of the builders in Kenya are now Chinese. The Chinese are very good at building properties to a very modern standard. And fair enough, in Australia, in the US, UK, Dubai, you get things which are very, very modern. Okay, but in Africa, we are behind. So what the Chinese have done have brought in some excellent products. Um, you do get, I mean, everything with China, you get grade A, grade B, and grade C quality. Okay, and the same case with the developers. You'll get those developers which are very poor. They don't care about their buyers, just building a product for the sake of it. You get the ones which are medium, and then you get the ones which are top. Now, the top developers are the ones which are running the market at the moment, where they're building quality as good as anybody else. They're also participating in the building management after and walking the journey with the investors, not only for the journey of buying the property, but even 5 to 10 years after. They're also very financially stable, where in China, the government lends to them at 1% interest. So technically, they have the money for the project already before it even starts. So they don't even need to sell. And they can just build the whole building. So you're guaranteed that on the day they say they're going to finish, they're going to finish. Um, then they also have the power, to buy the land in cash. So they're not doing joint ventures or things like that where there are other parties involved and things like that. It's just you and the developer dealing together on the property. So we, as a company policy, because we sell mainly to foreigners, is we only deal with about 8 to 10 top Chinese developers. We also deal with Indian developers. We also deal with a couple of, there is one very good American developer as well. There's also a couple of Turkish developers. But our priority remains that um, whether you're Chinese or not, you need to be one financially stable. So if you're going to require clients' funds just to build your property, that's already a big red flag. You need to make sure that financially you're capable of doing this project. Secondly, the quality of finish needs to be to a certain standard. Um, if you haven't done projects previously in the last 5 years, whether it's globally or in Kenya, another big red flag, and we won't work with you. Um, so you need to show to us, or we need to have had success stories with you where investors are willing to buy again as well. It shows that you're a developer worth working with. And then, of course, building management. Half the journey is buying the property, the other half is what happens on occupation. Um, will the developer walk the journey with you, or will they just pack up and leave? So we're very insistent on working with developers who will work with the investors, not only during the buying process but also post buying as well. So that's why we're very specific on the developers we work with. Um, well, I've been talking about the modernization of buildings and the futuristic concepts. So when you come to Africa and you come to Nairobi, you will probably think that it's a more of a Western city than an African city, and there is very modern concepts which are coming up into the market at the moment, and mainly built by the Chinese, because they're bringing in concepts which you see in Dubai, but you can
Mhm.
actually get in Nairobi. So I don't know if you can allow me to share my screen. I just
Great
wanted to
screen.
present.
And I just got as I do that, I just got a quick question from the crowd. Abdullah, thanks for the question. Hey, Mr. Shajiri, if you don't mind me asking, what was the down payment for your apartment? You may mention the percentage from the total property price. That is a great question. And also, we spoke a little bit about on some down payments you can get. My mum, so she for the property that we all did together, her down payment was 20,000 AUD. That's Australian dollars. So 20,000 Australian dollars would come to about maybe 15,000 USD, around there. But yeah, you can Google it or chat GBT. But mum paid, her down deposit was 20,000 Australian dollars, which is about 15 grand. What down deposits are you seeing print for, like again, guys, remember, I'm talking about, think about it, in New York, in Sydney, in Dubai, where can you go buy a place for 60, 70, 80, 100,000? Where? Off plan. Where? So yeah, so that's to answer your question. She put around 20,000 AUD, which is about 15,000 USD. What are your what are, to make it practical for someone, if someone wants to get into this, what's a down deposit? And we've got those slides later, but yeah, give us an example and then you can present your screen.
So it's generally
Sorry,
it's about
before you move on, I have another question.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm an engineer. I also work here in Dubai with a developer, Chinese developer, and we also build the residential building and also we build high-rise buildings. So when it's come to, especially for off-plan, especially with the Chinese developer, because I'm in the business with them and I'm building here. Um, uh, from my own perspective, my own suggestion to anyone who want to buy, it's better not to buy with the finished apartment. From my own experience, what the Chinese developer they always do, structurally they build correctly because they have to follow the standard and the authority standard, the building code, and they need to because they are inspection, right? But for the decoration, for the finishing, for the furnitures, here where they will play with you. I'm in the business already and I know what they do. So what I'm saying is that is it the same percentage and the price for off plan? Let's say if I'm trying to get something off plan without finishing, I will do my finishing by my own, including the fit out. So is it will be the same price, the same money I need to pay, or is different?
Per-
Um, thank you so much, Abdallah, for the question. So, before I answer Abdallah's second question, maybe I can just quickly touch on the initial question. So, the deposit that you need to pay is about 20% of the property price. So, that's the initial payment you pay on day one, which is 20%. The balance, 80%, is then spread throughout construction on an equal quarterly basis. So let's say it's finishing end of 2027. You've got about 7 quarters between now and then. You divide the 80% over 7 installments. Some developers allow you to pay maybe 10% on completion. So you pay 70% throughout construction and then 10% on completion. There is one or two developments which developers who have introduced a milestone payment basis. So you pay the 20% deposit, then the rest of the payments are based on milestones as they build. So like let's say they go down to excavation, they do foundation and they build 2 basements. You make a payment. They go up to ground floor, make another payment. Second floor as it moves forward. So payment plans are quite flexible in Kenya. The only thing that's probably not flexible is the 20% deposit, which is what I believe your mom had paid about 20 to 30%
yeah.
deposit. Um, to go to Abdallah's second question, um, in terms of buying ready versus off plan, I would always recommend off plan because the value appreciation, capital gain that you make is very possible. And then also, like he mentioned, um, there is a possibility where you can actually buy a shell and do the finishing yourself. Okay, you could even tell the developer that, hey, I want you to give me, I like your flooring, okay, or I like your ceiling, so do that, but I want to do the bathrooms myself, or I want to do the wallpaper myself, or I want to get my own sockets and switches, or I like your wardrobe, so do the wardrobes, um, but everything else I'll do. So there is an opportunity where you can actually come in and do your own finishing. They will work out a price for you on that basis. Just remember that developers don't do this out of the goodness of their heart in terms of building. They're all also there to make money. So there is an element of maybe you might pay a bit more in the end, because you're paying for the shell which they're building, and then you're paying for your own finishing as well. So it is possible. Um, there is also instances like in my own home as well, which is a 3 bedroom right now, which is where I am right now. um, I bought off plan, and I did a lot of changes before they reached my levels, so that they could plan. So, for example, I moved the wardrobe for my master bedroom into my study room where I am right now. And in my master bedroom, I built an L-shaped wardrobe, and I moved my bed further with the sockets. And the developer did all of this for me off plan. I also built a very nice shoe cabinet, because my wife loves shoes. So we managed to fit that in also off plan as well. We did up our whole utility area, which is our second kitchen. Um, we also added a couple of things to the DSQ, because we don't DSQ means a domestic servants quarter, where we don't have somebody staying there, so we could utilize that area as well. So it's very possible, just to answer Abdallah's question.
Cool. Guys,
Okay,
if you have any
thank you so much for your answer. Just to be more clear, price-wise, you mentioned that it may cost me more. What do you mean by it may cost me more if I take the off plan without the finishing and furnitures? Because I think you could do better if you do your finishing by your own, then rather than the developer. Because most of the developer, they always have, as you say, they need to make profit, but you are not there to see which type of material they are using and what the quality is. So because I'm not planning for like let's say like Airbnb, PNP, or for business. I'm planning to buy something for myself. So I need to build it in right way. So in future, my family and my kid, they can live in good way. So
Yeah.
this is my main concern, because if you buy something with the developer finishing, later on you will spend more money on maintenance and repairing and rebuilding. So I don't want to go through that one. That's why I'm asking. So the money, is it the same amount you pay, including the finishing with the decoration, or this will be a little bit different?
So, what developers generally do is, let's say, for example, you have an apartment which is 150,000 US dollars, okay, a 3 bedroom, for example. You'd come and tell them that, hey, I'll do the finishing myself. They will just come with a blanket figure. Let's say they'll say, I'm reducing the price by $60,000. Okay. They'll do their own mathematics, and they'll tell you that, hey, I'll give you the shell at $90,000, and you do the finishing at your own cost. Okay. Now, it's not, I mean, if you look at the whole finishing of the apartment, it probably would have cost uh, a bit more than the 60,000 that they're offering you. So they're making a bit of more money on just giving you the shell. So that's what I mean, that it may cost you a bit more, because the finishing would probably cost you more than the $60,000. Also, if you if you're not hiring the developer to do this for you, okay, which is like what I did in my project, where I hired him to do it. He did it for me during construction. You would only be allowed to do the finishing once the building is ready. So once the developers teams are out, is when you can come in and do the finishing. So it'll also cost you a bit time wise as well, because you're looking at probably another 6 months after occupation. and whereas you've already paid the developer a certain amount of money. So that's what I mean by the cost. It's not only just financially, but also time wise as well. But yeah, I mean, if you like let's say the apartment is 150K, they'll just come with a blanket figure 90 or 100K for a shell. Whatever you do after that is on you. But in practicality, the apartment, the finishing would have probably cost more than the 50 or 60K which you've saved from the developer. I
Cool.
hope that's
Okay,
answered
thank
the
you.
question.
Yeah, that is a very good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that and just quickly, Prit, I know you want to share your screen. I think that's a great example, Abdullah, of it depends on some people's goals. There's some people here who just look, I just want a place that when I go to Kenya, like me, I don't want to go pay rent. I have my own place. I travel all the time. I can go. Maybe I want to make this into Airbnb. I want extra cash flow. So it depends. So Prit, what did you want to share before we start to get into the Q&A for the audience before we go through?
Um, so it's asking me to tell you to stop sharing your screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll stop.
perfect. Let me just go for it. So I just wanted to share something with you, and let me know. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, yeah, we can see it.
So this is a project which is in the downtown areas of Nairobi,
Nice.
where you're right close to the probably the most luxurious mall in Nairobi. Um, you're very close to the main highway and the expressway, which takes you 15 minutes to the airport. It's actually this project. It's coming up right opposite my building where I'm staying. Um, so if you look at the overview of the project, in terms of amenities, they've got a rooftop lounge. They've got a rooftop paddle tennis court. And paddle tennis, I don't know if that's the case in Australia, but in Kenya and a lot of places in the world, it's become the sport of choice. You've got a courtyard pool. You've also got a heated rooftop infinity pool. So you've got two swimming pools. One is heated and one is by the courtyard. You've got a rooftop barbecue area. You've got a courtyard garden. You've got almost four basements. You've got a spa and a sauna, a co-working space, a 24/7 concierge, which is very important for Airbnb as well. You've got a
Hmm.
coffee shop. You've got 24/7 security, a fully equipped gym, and a yoga studio. So you can just imagine the amenities in just one building for a investor. This is like a kind of live, work, and play environment. And just to bear in mind, for this developer, this is their 10th project in Nairobi. They've been here for 19 years, probably the most experienced developer.
Where are they from?
Um, from China, from China.
China.
So,
And I'll just quickly say, like, I'm interested in how much this one is, but like in terms of all those amenities for Airbnb, like that's gold to me. Like when I want someone to come in my Airbnb, when they check in, like this place, and what I would say about being like an entrepreneur myself, Nairobi is that entrepreneurial hub. A little bit of that Silicon Valley type of thing. Where when I was doing a lot of my podcast interviews, I was doing it in these areas. What area is this apartment in?
it's in Brookside in Westlands.
Westlands, there you go. Westlands, where all the big companies are. That's like, your comparisons in big countries. But yeah, go on. But yeah, definitely great location, great amenities that I would see for an Airbnb.
So this is what the courtyard pool is going to look like. Now, something interesting to note is that 5 years ago, there was a couple of court cases in Nairobi where developers lost and they were told that whatever you produce on your brochure is required to be produced in real life. So all these sunbeds, the mini swimming pools for children, the fountain area, that's all going to be provided.
Wow.
Um, Now, what this developer is going to do, they put the main entertainment area on the rooftop, which is going to see. This is supposed to be a Zen courtyard where the pool is not too deep. You can come and relax. He's actually going as far as putting speakers inside the plants where you can hear Zen music throughout the day. So he's creating a fantastic kind of project. This is another image of the private pool area. Um, like
Let me ask you quickly, how much, if you were to have a full-time tenant in a place like this, how much would you charge them for rent? Let's say one
uh,
or two, yeah.
if it's a long-term tenant, we're looking
Mhm.
at about $800 unfurnished
USD,
USD. Yeah,
unfurnished.
yeah.
So furnished, we're looking what you'd say 1500?
Furnished, furnished is closer to 1,500, about let's say 14 to 1,500.
And AUD, that's pretty good. That's about 1800, nearly close to 2 grand for us. Wow.
Yeah, and then like they've put a co-working space only for the residents. So you don't have to come, and you can even just buy a one bedroom in this development, and you don't have to work in your apartment, for example. They've got a dedicated co-working space just for them. They're putting in a private cinema, and they're actually making the sample of this right now. And what the developer showed me was he's ordered these kind of seats from China to make it look like this. So you can actually hire it out for you and your friends to come and have a private screening whenever you want. He's going to make the roof like this as well because the building is named after one of the stars. Um, you've got a children's play area, which will be manned 24/7. You've got a fully equipped gym, which will come with all the gym equipment. Um, you've got uh, yoga studio as well. This is what one of the apartments is going to look like. They've got one and two bedroom apartments. Obviously, like whoever's interested, you'll get in touch with Sugira and he'll be able to send you all of this. And you've got one bedroom units which are about 58 square meters. So let's say you come in, you've got a kitchen, you've got your dining, you've got a living room, you've got a balcony. You come in, you've got a bedroom with a
Wow,
wardrobe,
man.
and
Getting me
you've got
excited.
a washroom as well.
Look at that.
Um, yeah, and then you've also got two bedrooms which are about 90 square meters. Again, similar to the one bedroom with an additional ensuite bedroom inside. Um,
Look at
and
that
they're quite
yoga studio.
yeah, and then this is the highlight of the building. It's Nairobi's highest paddle court.
Wow.
All they've got a massive entertainment area on the rooftop. So you've got your heated pool, you've got your gym on the rooftop, you've got a massive entertainment area. Um, and like I say, they're building things like you see in Dubai. And people
Yes, it's
don't
the
believe
new
that this is
Dubai.
happening yeah, this is happening in Africa. And
Yes.
it's not happening everywhere in Africa. It's happening in a few cities. Nairobi happens to be one of them. Um, so yeah, you've got the putting in a fireplace, rooftop heated infinity pool. You can even swim at night.
Okay,
Um,
just quickly, Prit, can you go back to the one bedroom? So, for example, guys, my Airbnb that I rent out is one bedroom. We preferred because, as like, even when being in a long distance relationship, when I traveled, I went to a one bedroom, right? Like, you don't really need to. How much would you say a one bedroom is USD cash price, and what would the down deposit be for one bedroom unit in this place here?
so this particular 58 square meters,
Mhm.
I'm just going to do the maths, is currently going at about 8.5 million Kenyan shillings.
That's
So
about
you're looking at the rate in terms of USD, it's about 65,891 USD. Okay. So let's
yeah.
say 65K, for example. Now, 65,000, if
Mhm.
you divide it by 58, you're looking at about 1,120 USD per square meter, which is very competitive, especially if you're getting all these amenities and things like that. Um, the 65,000, you're looking at 20% as your deposit. This is about 13,000 USD as your deposit.
So
Um,
15 grand AUD, not bad for a down deposit. Are you kidding me? 15 grand?
yeah. And then the balance is 52,000. Now, this project is finishing end of 2028. If we look at 2028 has 4 quarters, 2027 has 4 quarters, 2026 has 3 quarters. So you're looking at a total of 11 quarters. 52,000 divided by 11 is 4,700 USD per quarter.
Per
Per
quarter.
month, 1,500 USD per month only. Very, very, very fair and easy payment plan to work with.
Imagine you're in the UK, you're in Australia, you're in the US. Okay, and as I said, it really depends on the cash flow that you have and you know what you're doing. Some people are different, but that amount, there's no way you can do that for a property here in Australia. Get out of here. There's just no way. So to have a place like that, you pay it off, it's done. By the time it's done, the capital appreciation's there. Then now you want to get into Airbnb and renting it out, cash flow, or you just have a beautiful place that you can go to and extra cash comes in the bank through your bookings.
So I just wanted to show you another property, which this one is probably on the 8th story of building right now. You can just see the kind of pool that they're building. The developers now, especially the Chinese developers, they don't want to do the ordinary kinds of buildings. Uh, so just to give you an inkling as to what they're looking at, so they'll have a restaurant within the building. Again, interior design by somebody from Europe. Yeah, just want to quickly take you through that before I want to show you something else which is quite interesting.
And again, this is in around the same area, like the kind of the hub of Nairobi,
Yeah.
Westlands.
So this building is literally 20 steps away from the JW Marriott, which is opened up last year. It's a 27-story hotel in Nairobi. It's part of the largest building in Nairobi, the 50-story Global Trade Center. So that's the building. Just give me one
Has anyone
second.
here, as Pretty's doing that, has anyone here been to Nairobi? Can you just comment in the chat? Have anyone thought about going to Nairobi? Have you been there? It's a bit different if you've actually been in Nairobi. You kind of know maybe a little bit these areas or how it is. If you haven't, also we have YouTube and you're able to see more. But guys, chat GBT this stuff. Like honestly, like it's really like you guys even just being in this webinar is special because how I think about Kenya now, it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like when you find a gold mine, something that, Bitcoin, for example, right? Imagine Bitcoin if all the people who missed out on investing in the early days, they're kicking themselves. But because it's maybe the unknown, they've never thought about it, or you don't trust people, or you've just kind of been procrastinating a little bit. Then you let me know when you get it. I'll just run quickly people through as you're preparing it. You let me know when it's
Yeah,
done.
just almost there. But yeah, you can just continue. Just give me like 30 seconds.
No worries.
Yeah, just to share my thoughts, especially regarding Kenya and Rwanda. I've been to Rwanda last year.
We'll get to that.
I stayed for almost 2 weeks. Also, I've been to Kenya. I stayed in Nairobi for a few days. What I have learned from Kenya and Rwanda, it's when it's come to investment and real estate, it's very hard to find reliable and like some a very good agent. It's like everyone's trying to make money out of you quickly. Like it's this is one of the most difficult part. Secondly, I think there's no enough information online before you go there. Like it's not easy to find everything online before you go to the site, or you go to the city. Third, services. I think still they are not up to a standard. Like here in Dubai, the real estate now is blowing, and they have a lot of services. Like even though you are just checking for information, you can get access to everything. It's very easy, online, offline. You come here, everything is available. I think this is what is missing in Nairobi and also in Rwanda.
Mm.
Price wise, it's far away, much like affordable, like more than Dubai. But if you want to compare Kenya, especially Kenya and Nairobi, with other African countries, is a bit expensive. let's say if you compare with Nigeria or Arab countries like Egypt or Morocco, Kenya is a little bit more expensive. But Rwanda is cheaper. But the only negative part about Rwanda is that it's landlocked. They don't have a lot of visitors. Like it's not like they don't have high population, and also it's not really developed like Nairobi. Nairobi is just like is close to one of those developed countries. Like everything is available and transportation is very good. So that is my experience for Nairobi and Rwanda.
Mm. And
Thank
and just quickly, we've got a question from Yusuf. This has been a great session. We have something called council tax and service charge for any flats in the UK. Does this development have similar costs? I'm just thinking about the total cost of the property before looking at the ROI. And Yusuf, are you referring to the one that Prit was showing earlier? I believe. So Prit, have you got the question there?
Yes, I've got the question.
Mhm.
So basically, when it comes to service charge, this is the homeowners association. So
Mhm.
you're looking at a one bedroom being about 50 USD per month. Now, this would cover everything: security, generator, uh, borehole maintenance, swimming pool maintenance, cleaners for the common areas, common water, common power, any common expenses. um, we have not got council tax. We've got land rent and rates, which you pay at the end of every year, and it comes to roughly about $60 or $70 per year. That's it. No real property taxes per se, like you get in the US and the UK, and it's not exorbitant at all. So those are the costs. Um, yeah, it's quite relatively cheap service provision wise. Um, I hope that's answered your question. In terms of what I wanted to present,
Mhm.
and I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yep, yep, we can see it. And guys, keep loading up your questions. We have about 20 more minutes of this thing, so please ask as many questions. There's so much information we'll be giving you weekly about this, things like this. So yeah, let's go.
So this is an actual apartment. In actuality, no renders, nothing. This was built by a Chinese developer. It's a 74 square meter one bedroom, and you can tell, like, in terms of the furniture, if you do something really nice, and you can even see from the tiles that they've used, the white and black, they've kept that theme throughout to keep it in a very minimal but really good look. So, I was speaking about grade A, grade B, grade C developers in Nairobi. If you go for a grade A developer, you
Yeah.
can expect something similar to this, where the quality of finishing that they do is actually something that you would be proud of as well.
And I can vouch for that. I've gone to some
Also
places,
to
yeah.
note, yeah, they do the French windows as well, so ceiling to top, and then you've got 3 meter height ceilings as well. The kitchens come equipped with Bosch kitchen appliances, the extractor hood as well provided within the apartment. Um, this is what the bathroom looks like. This is not wallpaper, it's actually ceramic tile which they imported. So you can see the lengths to which developers are going to make their projects stand out. And you get the bathroom as it is, which is perfect. Massive sinks. You get a toilet on one end. You get the really big shower cubicle with a rain shower as well. Um, this is what the bedroom looks like.
Wow.
So yeah, this is an actual apartment that you can expect to achieve. And when they say 78 square meters, right? They actually mean that 78 square meters. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I wanted to show you.
Okay, I'll get back to it. So, guys, as we'll just go through. So, we'll actually go through a little bit. What are the rules? And you will be able to vouch for this. So, whether you want to own a place or you want to do Airbnb, of course, Airbnb, you don't need to like have a lot of these things. It's just like how I did it. Quick, boom. I did it through my fiance. Easy done. But to own a property, it's a little bit different. So, Kenyan passport holder, what are you guys entitled to? You have any property type anywhere in Kenya, freehold land with full ownership, rights, agricultural land with no restrictions. Documents that you need, again, guys, this is my mum's Airbnb in Kilimani that she did. Documents you need: passport, ID, KRA PIN certificate. What is the KRA PIN? It's a Kenya Revenue Authority personal ID number, just tax issue identification number. You need to buy property in Kenya. You got to pay for stamp duty, register a title deed. You'll say anything else. What else? You need a Kenyan bank account, pay rental income tax, and register. Or this is what you can use a KRA PIN for or register as a business. How do you get it? You just apply through the portal. It requires passport, and as you'll see in what we talk about here, a lawyer is very important. If you do not have a Kenyan passport, there's guys here who, some of you guys from Australia, from wherever, you don't have a Kenyan passport, and this is still looking good. You can have an apartment and houses with no restrictions, leasehold land only 99 years. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Any thoughts?
So a foreigner can own a property 100% in his or her name.
Hmm.
There's no restriction. The only thing that you're required to do is get the tax identification number.
Hmm.
And the tax identification number is, you can get it from in 24 hours. A lawyer here can help you get that, even remotely. If you wanted to open up a bank account, you'd need to physically come here.
Hmm.
Um, when it comes to a local owning property and a foreign owning property, it's the same rights for everyone. Um, all property, when a developer converts the land from a single use to multiple use building, it becomes leasehold for 99 years. The lease is easily extendable 10 years before the completion of the lease. Um, and it only costs $500. You don't have to pay for the property in whole again. And it applies whether I'm a Kenyan or it's a foreigner. The same laws apply. There's no discrimination. Um, the so as a foreigner, you can even buy this property sitting at home. Like Abdullah said, like I'm going to mention again, just choose a reputable agent, somebody who can have your eyes on the ground, somebody who has a good presence, somebody who's been doing this for a long time, so that like my business is just to sell real estate, and if you buy one property from me, you have a good journey. Probably 60 to 70% in 3 years, you'll buy another property. So it's a really real estate is a relationship based industry,
Yeah.
and the minute you can take it takes 100 steps to build a relationship and one step to destroy it. So our company focus on that policy of walking through this entire journey with you as a buyer, and we will assist you with everything, whether it's when you come here to get a mobile line, to open a bank account, to organize an itinerary for you. And then, the beauty about it is when you buy property in Kenya, a lot of brokers especially will tell foreign buyers that, hey, you need to pay me a commission for finding your property. That's not the case. The developer pays us the commission, we do you a service, and the servicing means we find for you the ideal property, we give you progress updates and everything, and it doesn't cost you anything at all. The developer will pay us for you buying the property. So don't ever be fooled by that charade which some brokers do put in the Kenyan market as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very easy for a foreigner to own property in Kenya.
Yeah, there you go. And like you said, you need a good team, a trusted contact on the ground, like you said, that someone that's there, a lawyer, property management company or real estate agent. So for example, Preet here, real estate agent, so quite experienced here. So that is what you need, a team on ground. What do you have to say about that? there, just in terms of, and do you guys provide the lawyer? I know, for example, like you said, my mum, she bought her place while she was here in Australia. She sent 20,000 AUD, sent it there again, but it's that the developer's good, everything was safe, and she insured it as well in terms of the property. But again, that comes with the lawyer. So she had a really good lawyer while here in Australia, 20 grand wire, boom, and now you see the Airbnb. So what are your thoughts a little bit on that quickly?
So we recommend 3 or 4 lawyers to, especially to foreign buyers.
Mm.
Also with lawyers, it's also about who you click with. So
Yeah.
we recommend that you go on Zooms with these guys if you're abroad or if you're coming here, you go and meet them, ask your questions, and whoever you have the best feeling with, you should use them as the lawyer. Um, Again, even the lawyer that you use, like the ones we recommend, will be from top firms because
Mhm.
they're the ones who will represent you the best. They're the ones, if anything happens, they can fight for you as well. If
Mhm.
you use a slightly cheaper lawyer, somebody who doesn't have that strength, again, they can leave you high and dry. So we would recommend some top lawyers which you can use, and the fees are usually about 1.5% of the purchase price. But at the end of the day, it's a legal document you're signing, so you need a good legal representative to help you. Um, we have a property management division in our company where we focus on long-term rentals. When it comes to short-term rentals, we work with two super hosts in Nairobi. Um, in terms of the letting, we have a department which does that. And then even we can help you resell your property in future as well.
Yeah, there you go. So simple ways you can be
Wait,
here.
I have one question here. Why should I have a lawyer if I'm buying directly from the developer? Because here in Dubai market, you don't need a lawyer. You can just go to the developer and buy, and the developer, the facility management, they will do everything for you. Why should I need a lawyer um to in case something happen, he need to.
Dubai is a totally different market from Africa. First of all, in Dubai, they put money in escrow. In Kenya, you're trusting the developer with your money. It goes directly to the developer. Um, the sale agreements you find here are drafted by the developer's lawyer, more developer oriented. And that's
Mm,
why you need a lawyer here to make it more fair and neutral, so that even the purchaser's rights are included, such as, what happens if there's force majeure? Has the developer taken out insurance on the property? Africa it's cheaper, higher returns, even higher returns than Dubai, but it's more risky. Um, Registration of a property in Dubai takes 3 hours. In Africa, it can take 90 days once it goes into the lands office. So you need to make sure your lawyer is on point to
mhm.
chase up, to make sure it's done within the 90 days. So it's a totally different kind of ball game. So this is why we recommend having your own lawyer to make sure, first of all, the sale agreement is done in a neutral manner because you're giving money directly to the developer. Um, there is nothing like escrow here at all. It's just done on a trust basis. And then to make sure that at the end of the day, the developer has fully done his obligations and the property is registered in your name fully. So that's why you require a lawyer here.
Yeah. So
Okay, how about the payment terms? It's like if you are making the down payment or you are making the mortgage payment, is it has to be international transaction directly to the developer account, or the lawyer has to be between it, or how the payment is done, like
good
for
question.
foreigners?
You
Good
you can
question.
do it either. You can do it either. So you can do it either directly to the developer, or you can do it to your lawyer, or you could even do it to the developer's lawyer. But either way, at the end of the day, it will still end up with the developer, whether it's
Yeah.
from your lawyer or the thing. So what we recommend to avoid bank charges and loss of things, you do it directly to the developer. Now, you can you can either do bank to bank, but let's say you're sending money from America or from Dubai, US dollars into Kenya. You can send it to the USD account of the developer here, who then converts it into Kenya shillings because your contract is in Kenya shillings, and they'll convert it for you at market rate. Or you can use an app called Wise, Wise,
Yeah, I
where
use that to
you
pay my I use that to pay my team.
yeah, so you can basically convert it yourself
Yeah.
from dollars to shillings and then send it to the shilling bank account of the developer. You can also use Revolut. There is also an app called TapTap, which is specifically for sending money to the African market. Although that has a limit of $2,500 per day, but it gives you the best, sometimes even above market rate when you're transferring. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's how you can make the payments, and it's usually direct to the developer.
So realistically, could you get this done within like what's the quickest time frame? Could you get this done? And we'll go through this like managing a property or board. Yeah, what's the quickest way you could get this done?
Um, Quickest way in terms of payment,
Yeah.
I would recommend using Wise. It gives you a very
No, but I mean the
very
process. The process of okay, you've shown me a project. I like the place. Let's get cracking.
so basically, you like, let's say you choose a unit, you identify a floor and a unit, you provide some basic details like your passport copy, your physical address, your full name, mobile number, and stuff. That's provided to the developer. Developer will then issue you with a booking form or a letter of offer. Once that letter of offer is issued to you, we recommend that you engage the lawyer. You and the lawyer go through this letter of offer and booking form. If there is any comments, uh, you throw it back to the developer. They make the edits, they agree or disagree, and then once it's ready to be signed, is when now you sign it, and then you make the initial deposit payment, and after that, an agreement for sale is issued.
Yeah, and even some things like, for example, with the developer, if they have to get certain permits or something, or certain things that you can get your money back, can they have those insurances if things go wrong with the development that, hey, I'll get my money back? Is there things that people can get?
Yeah, so there is, first of all, the contractor has to take out insurance. Okay, so if anything happens, the insurance can pay out.
Your money. Okay.
Secondly, there is long stop completion dates. So let's say the completion date is June 2027. If they don't finish by December 2027, okay, no matter what, they will return your money in full to
Money.
you. Okay, not
Okay.
including interest, but they'll just return what you've paid. Um, there is also, like, let's say, for example, they stop building for 2 months. You stop making the payments as well. So all these things are included within the contract. But again, why I'd recommend a lawyer? Sometimes developers don't include this, right? They want the buyer to find this out, right? Or to negotiate with them on this for buyer's rights. So yeah, those are the ways which purchasers then have their rights in terms of getting their money back, to make sure people have insurance so that if anything happens, you can get a payout and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, guys, as we go through questions, please, if you have, would you do Airbnb, own a place? What are your thoughts? A little bit on the tax. Correct me if this is wrong. 10% rental income tax, 15% capital gains. I did ask about Airbnb versus tenant, and Prit answered that earlier. Long-term rent, you have some stability. Is there a little bit of risk? One tenant leaves, okay, you got to replace them, but more stability. Airbnb, if you do the Airbnb game, there is a high upside, very high upside if it goes really well, but then it can be inconsistent cash flow for those of you guys who want to do the Airbnb game. Um, so again, what does life look like? For example, mum after her mortgage, $12,000, $12,800 of rental income after she finishes her mortgage. It's an apartment that she can retire in. And the goal is we have multiple apartments in Nairobi. Imagine multiple apartments bringing us $12,000 a month. Mom is there, boom, interior design. That's the goal. How can I have 4, 5 apartments? I stay in one she's retiring 60. I want my mom not to be stressing, but she has cash flow coming in from her apartment. So we always say a 5-step action plan. What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? Is it cash flow? Is it capital appreciation? Like Abdullah, is it a place that you can go home? What's your budget? How much do you have to play with? Do you just want to do an Airbnb arbitrage like I did? Maybe you don't want to just fully, dip your full toe. Maybe you just say, hey, let me test the market. Do what I did. Get an Airbnb. I don't even own the property, but I get Airbnb bookings, that cash that comes through. Aunties are coming, they hit me up. Yeah, you go stay in my Airbnb and they pay me, right? You want to build a team like what we've been talking here with Prit. Due diligence, due diligence, due diligence. Again, all of that. And then execute, take action. Because guys, it's 2026. This is the time now. The money that you have, you may not be earning $1 million, $2 million a year, but the money that you earn from 100K to 200, the money that we earn here in Australia, like my mom, she's not going to go buy a property here in Australia. I'm not going to say it's too late. We'll do that later. But she can go use that money, go get a place in Kenya, get $12,000 a year in rent, for example, right? So not bad. So projects, what happened? So for example, here, my fiance went. I spoke to Prit guys. I found Prit on YouTube and I said, hey, that apartment that you showed me on YouTube was dope. It was awesome. And the prices, I said, I want to see more. I want to be able to bring my clients many projects that they can choose. And so my fiance met up with his team and
It's luxury properties with the highest ROI. So yeah, some of the properties.
so this was with Prit's agency. This is in Westlands, right? This is them.
Yes.
That's their office. When is this one complete?
In May 2028.
May 2028. So she went, you guys showed her like like you showed those images on your computer there. He showed you earlier, like a kind of a mock thing of what they're doing, building in West. So this is going to be the tallest building, right?
Not the tallest building, but the let's say the tallest residential building.
Okay, tallest residential
Yeah.
building. In Westlands, this one is in?
Yeah. I mean, I
Westlands.
would recommend going for Westlands currently
Yeah, me
because
too.
this is where everything is happening in. It's like the center of this entire region is the Westlands area.
Yeah. And I had a small idea. People might copy me, but for the Airbnb, you know what I'm gonna do with our Airbnbs? I'm gonna put like a podcast mic on the couch because I do a podcast. So imagine you come to an Airbnb and you can create an experience. You can record a podcast in your apartment. So kind of out of the box ideas where imagine, as I said, we market the place and because even we're a good marketer, we come in and we use this as a business. Imagine your Airbnb bringing you $3,000 a month because you've marketed well. People, when they come to Nairobi, they want to go stay in your place. And you can outsource things like this, but this is a business that can bring cash flow. So what you guys can do is that you get access to this type of stuff. If you got a lot of value out of this, you can just book in a coaching session, a free coaching session. And like we said with Prit, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Are you just trying to do an Airbnb? Are you trying to get a place? What's defining it? Or maybe it's something that you're looking at a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever your goals are. And you found this of value, and this has been something in your mind that's inspired you. You thought, look, I've wanted to invest. I want to put my money somewhere. You saw my ad on Facebook and you're like, holy shit, I've been thinking about this. And now here you are in this webinar. So everything happens for a reason. You guys came here for a reason, even just to take this information and go do it yourself. Or now at least there's some resources here you can have that can guide you through there. So Prit, I want to thank you for your time. Please, guys, ask questions before we leave. Again, we're going to be doing this regularly. I spoke with Prit even, hey, in Nairobi, go down, show us a project, live webinar. No one's done that before, right? Go show us a live project where maybe people can look in. So I'll be doing these myself as well and bringing people like Prit on and getting amazing projects and showing people like, guys, Africa is beautiful. It really is the future. Like I said, where in the world can you go buy I went to New York. Where in Manhattan can I go and get a place for 60,000? But you know what? There was someone who bought that apartment in Manhattan 40 years ago that now his kids are laughing. Think about the head start they have. That's where Africa is going, and Kenya specifically. So you can book in your coaching session. Before we round it with questions, Prit, what did you want to round this off? And yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I like how you keep on referring to Manhattan. Currently, in my opinion, if you to put in $60,000 in Manhattan, you'd probably get a parking spot. So, Africa is really cheap at the moment. Um, there are not many places you can invest in Africa. There's only certain places which are safe, certain places which are connected to the rest of the world, certain places where, like Abdallah said, the city of Nairobi is more like a Western city. So, if you are interested in more options, I mean,
Not
definitely
even a
book
parking
a
spot.
session. Yeah,
So Yusuf
book
said
a
not even a
session.
parking spot in London.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Yeah, so yeah, if you're interested in a session, book it with Sugiro. We'd also be happy to join you. If you are coming to Kenya, we'd be glad to meet you. Maybe show you a couple of properties, and definitely we're striving to be one of the top agencies in Nairobi, and we work. Last year alone, I think we sold to 150 foreign clients, and I think at the beginning of the conversation I mentioned, they come from all around the world. Even Colombia, for example, we had a couple of buyers last year. So yeah, I mean, definitely do get in touch, and we'd be happy to guide you and walk you through this entire journey.
We got a quick question. What are the advantages of owning an apartment versus a single house in a yard? Explain on value increase. So I didn't show you guys this because we were zooming through, but what are the different type of investments like townhouses? Da, da. So what are your thoughts on that? Owning an apartment versus a single house in a yard? And yeah,
So, single house in a yard will only net you about 5% net yield, vis-a-vis an apartment which will get you 9 to 11% net yield. That's the difference. The amount that you put in capital wise, vis-a-vis the rent that you're going to get, is just not going to make it a viable enough investment. So, if you're investing, purely investing, go for an apartment. If
yeah.
you're looking at something where you want to live in, then by all means go for a maisonette or a townhouse. So again, this is Africa. The market is different from what it is in the Western world, where I know, like places like Sydney and stuff, especially outside of the downtown areas, you do get townhouses and maisonettes and things like that, where you can get a good enough yield. But that's not the case here. Specifically, would be go for an apartment.
Yeah. And Abdullah said, I asked, what are your goals? Cash flow or own your place? Abdullah said, look, first I want to own a place and then I'll start thinking of cash flow or investment. And Abdullah, you seem like a very young man like me. That's a fantastic idea. I had the same vision too. I was thinking, my vision is to own a place in, I went to a place when I was in Nairobi. You'll be able to know it's called Runda, big ass mansions, kind of out of, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want to go and just get a big ass mansion, but then I have 100 properties in 100 apartments in Nairobi bringing me rental. And also, let me ask you also on top of this, what are your thoughts on multi-unit apartments, right? Because if you're telling me I can get a place for 50K, and I got a little bit more money, 50K, what about if I get two, three apartments, 50K each, what, $150,000? That's one apartment in the outskirts of, like you have to find in the countryside here for that type of price.
No, definitely. I mean, it's right now, it's raising every year, year on year. So, if you're thinking of buying something, probably now would be the best choice. Next year, it'll be even more
Yeah.
expensive as the demand goes up. Um, and also there is, you're able to do a lot in this market. You can either buy it for speculation, you can get a good rental yield both through Airbnb or long term, you can resell the apartment. There's a lot of flexibility, like we covered this point, where you can do changes to the units. People are coming up with very, very modern concepts, and it's easy to own as a foreigner, not much complication.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask if anyone here would also do an Airbnb arbitrage, just put it up on Airbnb. But like I said, there's just so many and even just what you said, you could even just flip it, get it off plan, wait till it's done, and then just flip it. So like for example, my mum, if she would have just got it for 53K, and then by the time it was done, or even let's say by 2010, okay, $66,000, okay, 13 grand, okay, cool. What if it's worth it? I don't know, but we got another question. Quickly, what's the largest size of land you can own and price per square meter?
So you can own land from as small as a quarter of an acre, all the way to about even up to 50 acres, even 100 acres you can own. Um, I just want to quickly convert that into square meters. So if you look at acres to square meters, if you look at 0.25 acres, that's about 1,000 square meters. Now, if you're looking at the downtown areas of Nairobi, the 1,000 square meters can cost you roughly about 100 million shillings. Um, in dollars, this is about $775,000, roughly 775 USD per square meter. If you look at the slightly outside Nairobi, the same 100 million can probably get you something around, let's say, about 10 acres or so. And if we look at 10 acres, 10 acres is about 40,400 square meters. So we look at the 100 million divided by 129 divided by 40,400. You're looking at about 19 USD per square meter. So again, whether it's the downtown area or the rural areas, or not really the rural, but just outside Nairobi, you're looking at a very easy price per square meter.
Cool, cool. All right, guys. If we don't any more questions, we do have a WhatsApp community. You guys will be able to write in WhatsApp. Again, you can look at this as a 12-month project, getting your first place in Kenya. So any questions? And yeah, thanks, Raj. Thanks, guys. If you have nothing else, then we'll see you. Make sure you can book in. And we have do you have a website or okay, hold on. We got two more questions, which is okay. Let's go, guys. Do you have a website or something that defines prices? That's a great question. Like I said, again, working with Prit, you can book in a free coaching session. There is websites that Prit has, and we'll put that in. Everyone will get that sent. We have that as well. But yeah, you can book in prices. What would you say about that, Prit? I would let you because you're the one who has the projects and you're the one who's on ground.
So like prices vary depending on the area, depending on the developer as well. What I would say is there is, if you visit the website, you will get let's say 250 listings all over the place. It's not going to really define what you need. Um, if you could mention basically what your exact need is. So I want to invest, let's say, one bedroom, downtown areas, then you're probably looking at around 50K to 70K USD for that one bedroom. Okay, it could go up to 80K, 85K as well.
Yeah.
But that's generally the pricing that you're looking at. So even if you do come to us, we generally take your need, then give you properties according to your need. And then we also work net cash flows for you. So when we send you a property, we give you a return on investment document, which shows you your full purchase price, your additional costs like stamp duty, legal fees to get you the total that you're going to put as your outlay. Then we give you a gross rental. We deduct your HOA and service charge, the letting commission, the management fee to get you a net return. So this will kind of guide you as to what your best return would be. Yeah.
Okay, great. We've got another question. Abdullah, he's aggressive. And I like his attitude and his style. He said, "What about off-plan properties? Is there an option to pay cash, full cash, without any payment plan? If so, what is the maximum price for a two-bedroom apartment fully cash?"
Very good question. And
Very
yeah, I
good
mean,
question.
cash is king. So if you do pay full cash, you can negotiate on the price. Um, I mean, you have a bit of power in your hand. Um, when you look at two-bedroom apartments, they can range from about 100,000 USD all the way
Mhm.
up to 220,000 USD, depending on the size, depending on the location, depending on the developer, quality of finishing, and things like that. Yeah,
So you're saying 100,000 to so for a two-bedroom apartment, 100,000 to 200,000 USD
yeah, something
off
like that.
plan.
Yeah. Off plan, even some options ready as well. You can get ready options as well.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough. Okay, guys, any more last minute questions? We'll give you the floor. But again, want to thank you so much, Prit, for the time. I think with great value. I learned even a few things, and yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, we'll be able to do more of these, and we'll be in touch. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries. Bye.